Metropolitan University. So this afternoon, I will just be giving you some insights into the role of Africa in the production and transportation of hydrogen. But before I go into that, in the short time that I have, I'll kind of give you insight into what hydrogen partnership is about. So hydrogen partnership is the only continent-wide Africa umbrella association dedicated to the development of green and native hydrogen, hydrogen-based chemicals, fuel cell technology, and related businesses opportunities in Africa. So we represent the whole African continent and all African nations. Our role as a partnership association is to promote fair business practice and provide the necessary support to facilitate the establishment of African hydrogen value chains. And we support all the necessary climate targets and development goals. So we have continent, even though we are African Hydrogen Partnership, just like Hydrogen Europe, we have partners all over the world. At last count, we have 27 partners, and we have about 19 other partners that are waiting to go through our due process for them to join the membership. So on my screen, a list of members, and that goes from Hydrogen Europe itself to Anglo American, HDF, and a French company, Mahuzo from Japan, Hydromal from Somaliland, and so on and so forth. And we have some universities, academic for research and development, Impact Hydrogen, African factories, and so on and so forth. Like I said earlier on, our role is to bring companies and businesses together to facilitate the establishment of green hydrogen in Africa. So why is Africa so important? Well, Africa is important because of its unique geography, because of its people, because of everything around climate. So if you look at maybe either we're looking from the Horn of Africa, which is Ethiopia and countries around that, even to the northern part of Africa, or from Mauritania down to West Africa, or the southern part of Africa and Namibia, or what we call the Eastern Corridor around here, what you will find the opportunities either for renewable energy, cheap, low-cost renewable energy, or that could be from solar energy or wind, and so on and so forth. So we have the opportunity to be able to produce competitive carbon-free renewable. Another thing with Africa is actually the population of 1.3 billion people. The demand is very high. Through that we can actually attract foreign investment, direct investment, exporting green molecules from Africa. So Africa has the opportunity to produce low carbon hydrogen. At the same time, it also has the demand. So if you look at applications like in fertilizer and so on, actually Africa is the least fertilized continent in the whole world. Some nations are about 6 times more fertilized than Africa. So there's, of course, the implication of that in crop production, in agriculture, and the rest. So producing green hydrogen in Africa also has the demand in Africa as well. Then there's the opportunity to export, which I will show later. So in terms of renewable, so when we put all this together, we have the opportunity to protect the climate, to minimize the impact of biodiversity and habitats and so on. But what are the challenges? Of course, the challenges are, at the moment, hydrogen is still not competitive in terms of price. So the aim is to really reduce the cost of renewable hydrogen. There's also the challenge of creating competitiveness, creating an open market where people can kind of trade in a very fair and open manner. We need a functioning market in terms of demand and supply. There are also constraints in terms of policies and regulation. We need to increase competition. There's also the part of capacity, in terms of capacity, that could be human capacity. People need to be upskilled, people need to be retrained. We also need to think about the fact that the hydrogen we're talking about, most of them may not even happen. Some of them may not happen to tomorrow. Some will be in 10, 20 years. The question is, the young people of today, how much do they know about hydrogen, and how can we develop skills in this area? Standards are not well developed. Some of them are not fully harmonized. These are areas that we need to look. And again, we need focus. We need clear vision and direction in terms of strategy from different countries. So these are the challenges of, even though there are so much opportunities. Again, for us, what we see is, a whole hydrogen or ammonia ecosystem in the transport sector, and in other sectors across Africa. So I don't know, for some of you that may want to read more about this, African Hydrogen Partnership with Hydrogen Europe and some other partners actually put a report together for COP27. So you can Google that and read more about this, all that I'm talking about. But in Africa, in terms of hydrogen ecosystem, as I said earlier on, there's the base load renewable power using hydrogen. So there are many parts of Africa that do not have constant electricity at the moment. And we believe actually green hydrogen is a very good way to go. As I said earlier on, Africa needs a lot of fertilizer to kind of feed the 1.3 billion people, and maybe to export some of that to the rest of the world. But fertilizer is a key component of agriculture, which we don't currently have enough. So sometimes these are imported from various countries at a very high price. So if this could be produced locally, that would be great. There's waste to hydrogen power. So in AHP, we have members that are experts in this area. There's also the maritime sector in terms of shipping, using ammonia for shipping, or actually moving ammonia from one part of Africa to the rest of the world. So there's also the mining, Anglo-America is a member of AHP. They're already using hydrogen vehicles for mining in Africa, in southern part of Africa. So these are different components of ecosystem where AHP currently operates, as you see in this picture. So for us, it's about commercialization. It's about right now what can really be, what is it that is commercially sensible? So commercially feasible projects are things that we really specialize in. So for us, there's the short term, there's the medium term, and the long term. So in the medium term, we're looking at domestic market. So in the domestic market, how can we produce fertilizer in Africa, consume in Africa? How can we, generate base load energy or power and use that in a local environment? And maybe use that to kind of get foreign direct investment into African continent. That's the short term. And in the longer term, we're looking at how you can attract energy intensive industries to come to Africa, for example. And because green hydrogen is much cheaper there, they can kind of use that as an opportunity to decarbonize. So glass industry, steel industry, and so on can come to Africa and use Africa as a good location because of the cost reduction to kind of use green hydrogen. In the long run, long term, we're looking at exporting green molecules. Of course, this is getting hard currencies for Africa. This is there's this opportunity for bankability, high revenues for Africa, but actually there's opportunity also to be able to export green molecules to the rest of the world. So this is what we offer in Africa. Now, for us as a roundup, maybe I didn't join on time. So what are the opportunities that we kind of provide in Africa, and how can we facilitate this stronger alliance? So Africa has 54 countries. So it's like I said earlier on, some of the challenges, there's language barrier, there is regulation, there are policies, and so on and so forth. So really, in relating with each individual countries will be challenging. So really, for association like Ukrainian Hydrogen Council, working hand in hand with African Hydrogen Partnership to help, facilitate collaboration, whether in terms of supply or demand generation or production, will be really great in terms of producing hydrogen markets around the world. That is what African Hydrogen Partnership produce. So we have various areas where we can work together. That could be from policies to regulation, industry, or education, as I said earlier, in terms of capacity building. So just to round up, so for us in Africa, it's really about creating that market. The market is already there. So it's not just about export, it's also about production. But price is key for us. By pricing, I mean price at the pump. So our aim in the short term is actually to price out diesel, for example. That is what we aim to achieve. Thank you. I'll be happy to answer any question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dele. And I want to inform that according to President speech and pointing important direction of foreign policy, Africa used to become in the central of attention for this year and for the future. So we already discussed with you a lot of plan with your organization, with Ziggy, a lot of plans, and I hope to start already next month, and it will be Kenya. We will give all our expertise jointly with you, what we can suggest, how we can follow and push government in African countries to make their own national strategy. And your helicopter view of the whole continent, I think it will be the best way how to operate it. So, Mr. Dele, thank you very much for your participation. Hope to see you soon, and cooperation in confidence.
Thank you.
Thank you.